Hello, my name is Gail French. I'm a sixth-generation Texan living in Houston, Texas. I've been doing genealogy for over 30 years, and I've worked at IBM for 30 years, 26 of which were working in the space program at Johnson Space Center. And then I worked at imaging and document management companies for almost 20 years. So that makes me the perfect candidate for Roots and Tech. I've written and published 2 family history books, a 600-page descendancy book on my paternal grandmother's side, the Elliots, who came to Texas from Leicestershire, England in the 1830s. They fought in the Texas Revolution, received land for their service, and ran a ferry across the Colorado River from 1849 until 1902. The second descendancy book, 500 pages on my French line, includes both autosomal and Y-DNA results from dozens of French ancestors. This includes the research and results I found when I discovered that my father was NPE, and how I finally found his biological father. From my years of DNA research, I now volunteer at DNA Adoption, a nonprofit group that helps people find their biological parents by using DNA and special research processes. I teach their Y-DNA Basics program, and I am developing an advanced Y-DNA class on SNP testing and more advanced tests like the Big Y. I was a software engineering instructor at IBM and also published and presented papers on imaging and document management all over the world. I've been presenting at genealogy societies since 2007. Presenting at family search conferences since 2013, and presented at RootTech in 2014 and 2015. I'm scheduled to present on the DNA panel at the FGS conference in August of 2017 in Pittsburgh. Thanks for your consideration. I will be presenting at the FGS 2017 conference in Pittsburgh in August. I feel honored to be featured with Blaine Bessinger, Angie Bush, Judy Russell, and others. While writing my book on the French family history, I discovered that my father was NPE. During the years of research, I used Y-DNA and then a combination of mtDNA, mitochondrial DNA, and autosomal DNA with Y to document the results for the book. The 3-year search for my dad's biological father, my grandfather, I learned tools and techniques for hunting with DNA. I became a Y-DNA instructor for a volunteer group, DNA Adoption. Much of my material for this presentation comes from that class. Here's a section on that course. So Y-DNA Basics for Genealogy and Parentage is the title of my presentation. I'll cover an introduction to Y-DNA, describe exactly what's inherited, and then the different types of Y-DNA tests. So I'll cover the Y-DNA, how it's derived from parental path, father's path, and then the mitochondrial DNA from the mother's path, and then the autosomal DNA that covers up to 4 or 5 generations of all ancestors in your DNA inheritance. I'll talk about how the DNA is combined from different family members and how the X chromosome is inherited differently in both males and females. I'll talk about how take the DNA test with describing the kit and submitting the kit, and then finally the results. Describe all of the columns on the DNA results report with genetic distance, the name of the person, what the 4 icons mean, and who is the most distant ancestor described by your match. I'll show results in the surname groups and surname projects, and I'll describe genetic distance and what it means in a Y-DNA test and how that's important. I'll show them the charts and describe how different test results, for instance, a genetic distance of 1 at 37 markers means you're very tightly related. So we'll go into the kinds of those kinds of descriptions. I'll talk about mutations and which are the faster changing mutations, and what kinds of tests you should take, whether you go 37 markers or 67, and what each will show. One of the most important topics is the result types, so that when you get your results, you'll be in a particular category with either an exact match, a close match, a distance match, or no matches at 37 or more markers. And we'll just cover each category, what each means, and what to do in each case. So we'll talk about it